Hi, good. So it looks like we're live. Great. Right. Well, I haven't done all these things for a while, so I'm a bit rusty on what all the settings and things are. So hopefully good. So I am today going to do kind of an unboxing, but when something arrived today, I'm afraid I couldn't resist opening it. So I have already kind of unboxed it. So, you know, I'm sure that's probably not the thing to do. But, you know, what would Hugh Howey say? Indeed. You know, he'd probably say, oh, that's not how you do it. You've got to, you know, make sure everybody watches you tear the box. Anyway, today we have got something that has been waiting quite a while for. I think it's been delayed in the post somehow. Somewhere over there, overseas. So I can't even see it. Can you, I'm doing the cardboard. So here we are. Da, 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 da. And finally, after a long delay, we have the paperbacks of Cheatc0de. This is actually the proof copy. That's how exciting that is. This is the very first one. I always kind of sign the first one and keep it. So I can try and hold it a bit nearer to the camera. Rather pleased with the depth. It's a gloss one, so you're getting a bit of reflection, but I'm really pleased with the depth of the cover, how that's actually come out. So I made that myself. Did help. I had a really good, I think if you're making a cover yourself, make sure you start with a really good stock photo. I found a really nice stock photo, and I know a bit of what I'm doing with Photoshop after all these years, so I did play around with some filters just to really seem to bring out the depth. It seems to come out quite nicely 3D. So there it finally is, Cheatc0de with a 0, and it is currently on pre-order on Amazon and everywhere, actually, Apple and Nook and all those other crazy places. It is available for pre-order until the 12th of this month, so in only a few days. So in about 3 days, depending on your time zone, I guess, it will be live. And if you're one of those wonderful people who've pre-ordered it, and yes, there are some, yeah, thank you. If you're one of those great people who pre-ordered it, I guess it gets automatically sent out to you on the day, which is nice. And hopefully we'll get some reviews and things come up. It's a different project for me, Cheatc0de. It's a different style of writing. I decided to, it felt right to me, it's quite a sci-fi sort of cyberpunk techno-thriller style book, and I decided to set it in the USA. And I've always, you know, my Darkening Stone books are set in the UK, so as a UK writer it made sense to me to use English spellings and idioms and style and so on, although I did make some what's the word, some adjustments really to my style. If it wasn't wrong in English and it was preferable in American to an American ear, then I used those alternatives. There are alternatives around which suit both. So you know, to do that, but this is entirely set in America, and so it's totally American characters, American spelling. Well, one character's English actually, but American spellings and conventions and so on. My editor, a lot of you will know perhaps of Jason Whitehead, very well-known editor around the world, who does lots of work for the SPP guys. Sean Platt, David Wright, and Johnny B. Truant, as we must call him apparently. Oh dear, get into trouble. So yeah, he does a lot of work for them, so you know he knows what he's about, and so he edited that for me and did a cracking job with that. And it's written in the present tense as well, which, not that I was trying to be trendy. I know a few people, I think Chuck Wendig's stuff is mainly in the present tense, and a few people have kind of jumped on that bandwagon, I think, of doing it for trendy reasons. I didn't do it for that reason. I wanted this to be very in the moment, very pacey. It's kind of an action-packed book. I hope the cover gives you a bit of an idea that it's set in a virtual reality world in what I describe as the near future. I don't give a date. I'm not one of these sci-fi writers who spends the first chapter explaining everything, all the technology. You know, you've got to get on board with that yourself and do a bit of legwork yourself, a bit of brain power yourself. You know, all the clues are there. You can figure stuff out. So there's a virtual reality game. I mustn't give out any spoilers. Or a virtual reality system that is sort of ubiquitous in the near future, which doesn't take too much of an imagination. And it came about because I'm part of a group of sci-fi authors called the Collective Sci-Fi. You can find us at thecolectivescifi.com. And there's quite a few of us in there. There's about 13 or 14 or so, and we started off with as a project of envisaging. I can't say it. Envisaging. Oh, never mind. We dreamt up the idea of an alternative reality where tethered scribes are plugged into a system whereby they write reality into existence. And we wrote a little short taster story between a few of us. 4 of us put that together, called The God Machine, which is up as a perma-free book. I'm sure you can find that all good retailers again, iTunes and Nook, and as well as Amazon around the world, and plus all those other ones, everywhere, Scribed and all those guys. You can find that, and it sort of set the scene, really. We had the idea that they would be writing tales, and as they wrote reality into existence, they create reality through their tales, through their stories. Things went wrong and things went amiss, so traditional fairy tale ideas and folklore ideas became changed, and it gave us a chance to look at them afresh and to take something that is you can call it a fairy tale or folklore, you can call it a classic story, because they are by definition really stories that have stood the test of time, some of them for a very, very long time indeed, and spanning all sorts of cultures going way back. And so I took one of my favourites from childhood, from the Grimm's Brothers Grimm version of let's get this right, the silver tinder box. I sometimes say silver snuff box for some reason. I don't know why. I think it's the alliteration. But instead of witches and magic, we have the modern magic of virtual reality. And whoever it was that said, if a technology is sufficiently advanced, it's indistinguishable from magic. Was that Arthur C. Clarke or somebody like that? Everybody would be cross with me now for not knowing that. I'll go away and look it up immediately, I promise. Also, if something becomes sufficiently advanced, it seems to go wrong all the time. But that's just me, being cynical, I'm afraid. So yeah, it's instead of magic, you can have a virtual reality world in which nothing is real and identity is blurred. And already I think we see that now, where people online are not who we think they are all over the place, and it is quite easy to adopt that. And I know lots of indie authors particularly have several pen names and things. I've not done that yet. I might do one day if I get round to it. It might be interesting to do some work in a different voice and to separate it by using a pen name. I think that's the reason most people do it, so they can try things out, without confusing everybody, especially if they're going to very different genres, So what else can I say about it? I don't want to give any spoilers out, but you would hardly notice the silver tinderbox elements of it unless I tell you that. And I don't make a big deal of it at the beginning, because this is very much a modern sci-fi, cyberpunk, techno-thriller, fast-paced adventure story, and there's no reason for you to know it. It's not like I followed it slavishly. It's a question of it being an inspiration, really, an inspiration that just fired up my imagination and got me going, got me writing. And it was going to be a short story. I was aiming for a few thousand words, and I thought, I'll knock this off quickly. So I did what I shouldn't do. I put other things aside and thought, well, I'll just do this as a little project. And lo and behold, I sort of went a bit mad, and many thousands of words, tens of thousands of words later, here we are. It's actually quite a thick book as they go. So 241 pages, and probably better not say too much than that. I would like to do a reading at some point. It's a bit late at night here for me to do that now, I think. I don't want to sort of go too much of an analysis into it. I think anybody who enjoys a fast-paced read would enjoy this. I always make sure that the characters I write are sort of engaging and three-dimensional, because I really hate it when they play second fiddle to sort of some high concept. So I think anybody who just likes a good read would enjoy it. People generally seem to say, one of the things they say about my work is that they enjoy the characters and they feel sort of engaged with them and they feel real to them. and I do work very hard at that. You know, if something doesn't ring true, I cut it out or change it. I think it's the only thing to do. You have to have that attitude. I'm not sure how long this video has run to already. Oh, it's only 10 minutes. I guess I could try, if you bear with me, I guess you can always press the stop button. I could try and do a little bit because I'm just quite excited about it. I could try and read a little bit, but you'll have to bear with me because, you know, I'm not an actor or anything. So any people from the USA in the audience, please forgive my accent, which is probably rather an indeterminate sort of one. Chapter 1 is called 19. Late afternoon, the time when kids go home from school, but the street outside Parkville High is empty. No one walks home in this neighborhood. No one except Hank. Today is Hank's final day of school, and while the other kids cheerfully climb onto the bus, jump into their cars, or get picked up by their proud parents, Hank slips out of the school gates with his head held low and sets off for home without a backward glance. The motley motorcade of yellow buses, minivans and second-hand SUVs swings out from the schoolyard and sails along the street, heading for the leafy suburbs. The passengers chatting happily, swapping jokes or concentrating on their phones. Some are listening to music, their eyes closed, earbuds jammed in place. But no one looks out the window. No one spares a glance for the boarded-up shops or the tumble-down houses with their crooked roofs and cracked windows. No one wonders what's beyond the sagging chain-link fences barely held in place by drunken steel posts. This street is a wasteland, barren, desolate, empty. But Hank walks on, his shoulders squared, his hands thrust deep into the pockets of his jeans. He tunes out the rumble of traffic, ignores the diesel fumes. Soon they'll be gone, and he'll have the place to himself. He turns a corner, and though he doesn't raise his head, his eyes flick from side to side, scanning both sides of the street, watching. This is his street, and if there's anything new, anything missing, he'll know it in an instant. But there's nothing to cause concern, not today. Today the street is quiet as the grave. The red brick houses don't just look empty, they seem abandoned. Paint peeling from the doors, windows dull with grime, concrete yards cracked and sprouting tufts of grass. Hank allows himself a grim smile. He's almost home. He takes a breath, flaring his nostrils. It's a hot summer day, and the humid air is tinged with a trace of decay. Every summer it's the same. Hank's dad, Mervyn, says it's the drains, but how the hell would he know? How the hell would he know about anything? His dad hasn't set foot outside the house for years. For a heartbeat, Hank pictures his dad, imagines him shuffling from the sofa to the refrigerator, from the bathroom to the bedroom, back and forth like a goddamn zombie. He pushes the thought away, pushes it as far as he can, but it isn't easy. It's hard to ignore someone when he relies on you for everything, even harder when you see his face every time you look in the mirror. Hank takes after his dad, always has, always will. Everyone says it, and it's not all bad. Back when he was in his prime, Mervyn was a big man, taller than most and built like an athlete. A good man on the basketball court. Mervyn played power forward for the college. He could have turned pro, so they say, but not Mervyn. 10 years pushing paper for the army, then kicked out on a disability pension. Hank could never figure it out, and truth be told, he didn't often try. I'll just stop there because I could go on for ages, and my American intonations and things are probably desperately wrong. And you hear yourself say it, actually think, oh, I can't help but say that in that certain way. But there you go. So that's a tiny little bit of cheat code. It doesn't really get into the action, but perhaps you get a little sense of the mood from the opening, and you perhaps start to wonder a little bit about Hank and his dad, because that's what it is after all. In some ways it's a coming of age story, and the theme of fathers and sons seems to crop up a lot, and I've dedicated this book to all the great dads in the world, because, you know, there are loads, so well done if you are one. Keep it up, and to all the, you know, great mums as well. So, but I dedicated something else to mum, so I thought that would be too, I can't, you know, do the same one, I've got to do a different one, and it fitted the book as well, fitted the theme of the book. So I'll stop rabbiting on there, and thank you very much for watching and for listening. And if you want to check out Cheatc0de, it's very easy to find, because if you put Cheatc0de into any search engine as one word, and you make sure you put a 0 instead of the O in code, you will find it, because there isn't another book or another thing called that anywhere. So I hope you check it out, and if you do, I really hope you enjoy reading it, and please let me know. Please drop me a line. You can always find me at mikeycampling.com, and you can email me and find all my contact details. On Twitter I'm Mikey Campling, you know, so it's easy to find. And I think Facebook somewhere, author Mikey Campling, something like that. So it's all pretty easy. There aren't very many Mikey Camplings in the world, thankfully. Quite a few Mikes, but not many Mikeys with an EY on the end. And thank you very much. Look forward to, I must try and do a few more of these, and I'll try and talk to you sometime again. So bye bye.